My girlfriend gave me two options: either accept that she was going on a girls' trip with three guys or be single. So I picked option three. I showed her dad the messages she had been sending them. He helped me pack her things. Hey viewers, before we continue with the story, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you enjoy stories like this. Thanks for the support. For a long time, I believed I had my life under control. I'm 29 years old, an electrical engineer, and for the past 4 years, I had been building a life with Chloe, who's 26. From the outside, we looked perfect. I was the reliable one, the provider, the guy who fixed the sink and managed the investments. She was the lively social energy who kept life exciting. At least, that's what I used to tell myself. Looking back now, I realize I was simply the safety net she planned to outgrow. We were living in a nice 3-bedroom condo in the city. There's an important detail about that place. The condo actually belongs to her father, Robert. Robert is very traditional. He's a retired military officer who now runs a contracting business. He values loyalty, handshakes, and keeping your word. One time, while we were having a beer together, he even told me, "I'm glad she found someone with backbone. You remind me of myself." I took it as a compliment. At the time, I had no idea how much I would rely on that connection. Everything changed last Tuesday. Chloe came home from her marketing job full of the excited energy she usually had when she wanted something expensive. She sat on the arm of the sofa and started playing with my hair. "Babe," she said in that familiar tone she used when asking for something. "So Sarah and Jen are planning a trip to Miami next month. Just a girls' getaway. Sun, beach, cocktails. We all need a break. Work has been crazy." I didn't think much about it. I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. "Sounds fun," I replied while looking up from my laptop. "How long?" "5 days," she said. Then she added, "The flights are a little expensive, but I was hoping we could put it on your Sapphire card for the points. I'll pay you back half once my bonus comes in." I agreed. Honestly, I usually agreed to things like that. That same night, I booked her flight. I even felt good about it, thinking I was being a supportive boyfriend who was giving her space to relax with her friends. 2 days later, reality hit me. Chloe was in the shower while I was in the living room watching a game. Her iPad was sitting on the coffee table, and suddenly the screen lit up. It was connected to her iMessage account. Normally, I ignore her notifications, but this one caught my attention because it wasn't from Sarah or Jen. It was from a contact saved as Kyle Jim. The message preview read, "Tell him whatever you want. Just make sure you bring that red thing you wore last week. I'm not sleeping on the couch this time." My stomach dropped instantly. It felt like the air had disappeared from the room. I stared at the screen while my heart pounded hard against my chest. I knew I probably shouldn't look further. The respectful thing would have been to wait and ask her directly. But the phrase, "tell him whatever you want," destroyed that idea. I unlocked the iPad. She hadn't changed the passcode in 3 years. What I found wasn't just one message, it was an entire strategy discussion. There was a group chat named Miami Mayhem with a palm tree and a smiling devil emoji. The group members were not just Sarah and Jen. It included Sarah, Jen, Chloe, Kyle, and 2 other men named Mike and Justin. I started scrolling back. For about 10 minutes, I read the conversation. With every message I saw, the feelings I had for her slowly turned into a cold sense of nausea. This was not a girls' trip. It was a couple's trip. Sarah and Jen were bringing those guys, and Chloe was paired with Kyle. They had rented a 3-bedroom Airbnb. The arrangement was simple. I was paying for her flight, while she was splitting the Airbnb cost with Kyle. But the cheating itself wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was the disrespect. The way she talked about me to those strangers was painful to read. "Chloe, Oh, Mark keeps asking about the itinerary. He's so suffocating sometimes. He acts like my dad. Kyle, does the bank account know he's being played? Chloe, LOL, stop. He's useful. He's paying for the flight, so that saves me $400. Besides, he's so vanilla. He'd never survive Miami anyway. I just need a break from playing house with Mr. Safety. Kyle replied, Don't worry, I'll make sure you forget his name by the second night. Chloe answered with wink emoji, I already have. I sat there in my own living room feeling completely cold. Useful, vanilla, Mr. Safety. She wasn't just betraying me, she was mocking me while doing it. She was using my money to make the whole plan possible. I took screenshots of everything. The insults, the travel plans, the messages about sharing a room, and the clear proof that she was lying. I sent the screenshots to my phone through AirDrop and then removed the evidence from the iPad. After that, I went back to the couch and waited for her to finish her shower. I didn't yell, I didn't throw anything. Instead, I felt strangely calm and detached. The woman I thought I loved had disappeared the moment I read those messages. The person in the bathroom felt like a stranger. She eventually came out wrapped in a towel, humming to herself, and smelling of the expensive vanilla scrub I bought her for her birthday. She noticed me sitting quietly with the TV turned off. "Why is it so quiet in here?" she asked while drying her hair. "I was thinking about your trip. I was looking at hotels in Miami. Where did you say you were staying again?" She didn't hesitate. "Oh, we found a cute boutique hotel near South Beach. Sarah booked it." "Really?" I asked, because I was looking at Airbnbs and they seemed cheaper for a group. "No, we wanted hotel service," she replied smoothly. She walked into the bedroom to get dressed. I stood in the doorway. "So it's just you, Sarah, and Jen?" I asked. "Yes, Mark," she said sharply while pulling a t-shirt over her head. "Why are you interrogating me?" "Because I know Kyle is going." She froze. Her back was turned, but I saw her shoulders tighten. Slowly, she turned around, her face showing a mix of panic and anger. "Who?" she asked. "Kyle," I repeated, "and Mike and Justin. I also know you're not staying at a hotel. You rented a 3-bedroom Airbnb, and you're not planning to sleep alone." She stared at me quietly, clearly trying to figure out how much I knew. Then she made a classic move people often make when they're caught. Instead of addressing the issue, she attacked how I discovered it. "Did you go through my phone? You completely violated my privacy. Are you serious right now?" I saw a notification on the iPad, but once I saw another guy texting my girlfriend about sharing a bed, yes, I looked further. I continued. "Chloe, I saw you calling me useful. I saw you laughing about me paying for your flight so you could hook up with some gym guy." She crossed her arms and rolled her eyes. There were no tears, no apology. "You're exaggerating everything," she said in a dismissive tone. "Kyle is just a friend from the gym. We're going as a group. Splitting a house is cheaper." Then she added, "God, you're so insecure. This is exactly what I meant in those texts. You're suffocating me." "I'm suffocating you because I don't want you sharing a room with another man?" I asked. "Nothing is going to happen unless you keep acting like a jealous psycho and push me to it." She kept talking. "I need this trip, Mark. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm living this boring, predictable life. I just want 1 week to feel young and have fun again. Is that really a crime?" I looked at her carefully. She truly believed she was the victim. In her mind, she was the main character, and I was just someone interfering in her story. Then she stepped closer, clearly trying to dominate the situation. "Here's the deal," she said. "I am going to Miami. I'm not canceling it. I deserve this." She raised 2 fingers. "You have 2 choices. Choice number 1, she said confidently, you get over your insecurity, trust me, and let me go have fun. Stop acting like a jailer. She paused. Choice 2, you refuse to accept it, and if that's the case, we're done. You can be single. She lowered her hand and looked at me with a satisfied smile. She believed she had cornered me. She thought I was too afraid to lose her, too invested in our 4-year relationship to walk away. She expected me to apologize, to beg her not to go, and promise to relax about the situation. So those are my choices? I asked.
Those were the choices she gave me. Those are your options, she said. The decision is yours, Mark. I'm heading to the gym. I expect you to be finished with this tantrum by the time I come back. She grabbed her gym bag, walked past me quickly, and shut the front door behind her. The apartment became silent again. I stood there for nearly a minute, trying to process what had just happened. She had already crossed emotional boundaries, made plans to cross physical ones, mocked me in front of strangers, and then told me that if I didn't accept it and even help pay for it, we would be done. According to her, I had 2 options: accept the disrespect or lose the relationship. What she forgot was that there is always a 3rd option. I walked to the window and watched as she got into her car. The moment she drove away, I took out my phone. I didn't call a lawyer. I didn't call my mother. I called Robert. "Hey, Mark," his deep voice answered on the second ring. "Everything okay? I was just about to head to the hardware store." "Hey, Robert," I said calmly, very calmly. "Are you home? I need to come by. It's about Chloe and about the lease." "Is she all right?" he asked immediately, clear concern in his voice. "She's fine physically, but there's something you need to see. I think you should understand how your daughter has been speaking about us. Also, I might need to borrow your truck." There was a short pause. "Come on over," he said, his tone becoming more serious. "Robert lives about 20 minutes away, in a house he built himself in the late 90s. When I arrived, he was already in the garage working on a lawnmower. He wiped his grease-stained hands on a rag and waved, but his expression changed when he saw my face. "Coffee or beer?" he asked. It was 11 a.m. on a Saturday. "Neither," I said. "We should talk inside." We sat at the kitchen table. I didn't waste time with small talk, and I didn't try to soften the situation. I respected him too much to hide the truth about what his daughter had become. "I care about Chloe," I began, placing the iPad on the table between us. "I had actually been planning to propose next year, but earlier today she gave me an ultimatum." He leaned forward slightly. "She told me I could either accept her going on a trip with 3 other men and sharing a house with them, or I could be single." Robert frowned immediately. His thick gray eyebrows tightened. "3 men?" he asked. "She told her mother it was a girls' trip to South Beach." "It isn't," I said. "I need you to read this conversation. Start from the beginning." I slid the iPad toward him. "And Robert, I'm sorry you have to see this, but you need to understand why I'm about to make a decision." I watched as he read. I could see the exact moment his expression changed. It wasn't when he read the suggestive comments about Kyle. It happened when he reached another message further up in the chat, one I hadn't mentioned before. Chloe had written, "I can't ask my dad for money. He has these outdated morals. He thinks hard work solves everything. It's pathetic. I'll just have Mark put the flight on his card and guilt him into forgetting about it." Robert's face slowly turned red. He read the message twice. Then he carefully placed the iPad down, removed his glasses, and pressed his fingers against the bridge of his nose. The silence in the kitchen felt heavy. "She called me pathetic," he said quietly. There was no anger in his voice, only deep disappointment. "She called me useless," I said gently, "and you pathetic. She's using my money to get there, and she's using your property as the place she returns to afterwards." Robert stood up and walked toward the sink. He stared out the window for a long time. When he finally turned around, the warm, fatherly expression he usually carried had disappeared. In its place was the firm look of someone used to dealing with broken agreements. "The lease on the condo," he said slowly. "It's month to month now, right?" "Yes," I answered.
We never renewed the yearly contract. And I co-signed for her car, he added quietly, almost to himself. Then he looked directly at me. Mark, you're a good man. You treated her extremely well, better than she seems to deserve. I'm finished, Robert, I said. There's nothing to negotiate. I'm choosing option 3. Option 3, he repeated, nodding slowly. All right, let's go. He didn't ask what I meant. He already understood. He picked up his truck keys and we drove back to the condo in separate vehicles. When we arrived, there were no arguments and no dramatic actions like in movies. Instead, we worked methodically. Robert pulled several empty boxes from the bed of his truck. Pack only what belongs to her, he instructed. If you bought it, it stays. If you paid for it, it stays. The process took about 2 hours. We cleared the closet, the bathroom, and her vanity. I packed her shoes while her father packed her books. It was a strange situation, 2 men calmly removing the belongings of someone who had disappointed both of them. When the final box was placed in the back of Robert's Ford F-150, the apartment felt completely different. It was quiet and almost empty. I took a sheet of notebook paper and a black marker and wrote 3 sentences. You gave me 2 choices. I chose option 3. Your dad has your things. I placed the note on the kitchen island next to the keys she had given me when we first moved in together. Robert sat in his truck in the driveway while I finished inside. I'm taking these boxes back to my garage, he said. She can stay in her old room until she figures things out. Then he looked at me seriously. Mark, don't let her talk her way back into your life. She inherited her mother's way with words. She'll try to twist the story. She's already blocked, I replied. As far as I'm concerned, she's no longer part of my life. He nodded and gave me a firm handshake, one that expressed sympathy without needing words. Then he drove away. I went back inside, poured a small glass of whiskey, and sat quietly. For the first time in 4 years, I didn't feel responsible for anyone else's happiness. I simply sat there and breathed. About 2 hours later, she returned home. I wasn't there. I had gone to a friend's house for the night, just in case the situation turned chaotic. However, my door camera notifications were active, so I watched the recording from my phone. She walked up to the door with her gym bag on her shoulder, looking irritated, as if she was already preparing a lecture about how I needed to mature. She inserted her key into the lock. It worked. I hadn't changed the locks yet. Robert, as the landlord, would deal with that later. She stepped inside. I could immediately see the moment she noticed the difference. The apartment echoed slightly. She walked into the living room camera's view and slowly turned around. Her decorative pillows were gone, her blankets were gone. The photos of us that had been on the shelf were gone. Then she noticed the note on the kitchen island. She read it. After reading it, she threw the paper on the floor and shouted in frustration. It wasn't the reaction of sadness, it was anger. She grabbed her phone and called me. Blocked. She tried again. Blocked. Then she called Robert. Later, he told me about that conversation. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Your boxes are in the driveway. Rain is expected tonight, so I suggest you collect them soon. And Chloe, don't bring that iPad into my house. I know exactly what you used it for." Then he ended the call. Most people, when their life suddenly collapses, take time to reflect and reconsider their choices. But Chloe, however, did not.
Chloe responded to the situation with pride rather than reflection. Instead of stepping back, she reacted out of spite and doubled down on her decisions. That same night, she posted a story on Instagram from her childhood bedroom. It was a selfie with a caption that read, "Trash took itself out today. Finally free. Miami isn't ready for me." There was also an airplane emoji and a nail polish emoji. She still went on the trip. Canceling it would have meant admitting that I had been the structure supporting her life. She wanted to prove that she was still the prize in the situation. However, reality tends to become clearer when the safety net disappears. Since I had canceled the flight purchase that was made with my Sapphire card, thanks to fraud protection policies, her ticket was voided. When an authorized user violates the terms of a relationship, the charge can be reversed. As a result, she had to buy a last-minute ticket at nearly 3 times the original price, using her own credit card. From what I later heard through mutual friends, many of whom began distancing themselves from her once screenshots of the group chat circulated, the trip did not go well. The group that had planned the Miami Mayhem getaway didn't want someone dealing with personal problems. They expected the carefree Chloe who bought drinks and kept the energy high. Instead, she arrived stressed. She was constantly checking her bank account and worrying about money. She was also fixated on why I had not contacted her after the breakup. As for Kyle, the man she had been interested in from the gym, it turned out he wasn't interested in a serious relationship. He was interested in a convenient situation. They hooked up on the first night. By the second day, he was openly flirting with other women at the pool. When she confronted him about it, he reportedly said, "Relax, we aren't dating. You're the one who said you wanted a break from Mr. Safety, right? So enjoy yourself." She ended up in a house with 3 men who treated the trip casually and 2 friends who were focused on their own situations. At one point, she reportedly slept on the couch in the Airbnb because Kyle brought someone else back to the room she had partially paid for. For 5 days, she spent money she didn't really have while surrounded by people who were not invested in her well-being. Meanwhile, back home, her belongings were still sitting in cardboard boxes in her father's garage. By the time she returned to the city, she was no longer presenting the confident image she had posted online. She was single, financially strained, and without a stable place to stay. That's when the silence started to break. Messages such as, "I miss you," began trying to reach me, attempting to get past the block list. But silence has value. Maintaining it costs pride, curiosity, and the urge to check what the other person is doing. However, the return on that investment is peace of mind. For 6 weeks, I remained completely silent. I didn't ask mutual friends about her. I didn't check her social media accounts. I simply removed her presence from my life. Instead, I focused on myself. I went to the gym 6 days a week, not out of revenge, but as a way to release stress and energy. And I also concentrated on a work project I had been neglecting when my evenings used to be spent listening to Chloe complain about workplace issues. Without constant drama around me, things improved. I performed better at work and eventually received a promotion. I slept more consistently. My financial situation also became more stable. But people who thrive on attention struggle with silence because it forces them to face their own thoughts. Eventually, Chloe tried to re-establish contact. The first attempt came through her friends. About a month after the breakup, I received a message from Sarah, the same Sarah who had helped organize the Miami trip. Her message read, "Hey Mark, I know you're upset, but you really need to talk to Chloe. She's in a bad place right now. She's been crying constantly. She's staying at a motel because her dad won't let her move back into the house. You can't just abandon her like this. It's cruel." I looked at the message and almost laughed. They wanted the safety net back. They had contributed to the situation, and now they expected me to fix it. I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked Sarah. Then I blocked Jen. After that, I blocked 2 other friends who had publicly supported Chloe's freedom post. When online attempts failed, Chloe eventually tried a direct approach. One Tuesday evening, I was walking toward my car in the company parking garage after work. I unlocked the door when I heard the sound of heels moving quickly across the concrete. "Hey Mark, wait!" I froze. I recognized the voice, but it sounded different, thinner and strained. When I turned around, Chloe was standing near the rear of my car. The change in her appearance was noticeable. The Chloe I had known always maintained a carefully polished look, styled hair, flawless makeup, and outfits prepared for social media. The woman standing in front of me looked exhausted. Her roots were visible, and she was wearing sweatpants that looked worn. The hoodie she had on was one of mine that she had taken years earlier. She looked as though she hadn't slept properly in days.
For a brief moment, the old confidence appeared in her expression, but it quickly faded into desperation. "You're difficult to reach," she said, attempting a light drone. "I blocked your number." I remained neutral. "You gave me a choice, Chloe. I made my decision. What do you want?" "I just want to talk," she said, stepping closer. I stayed where I was. "Mark, this situation has gone too far. My dad won't even look at me. He told me I have to pay him back for the car or he'll repossess it. He's acting irrational. You turned him against me." "I didn't turn anyone against you," I answered calmly. "I showed him the truth. If the truth damaged your relationship with him, that's not my responsibility." "I was angry," she said loudly, her voice echoing in the garage. "Those texts were just me venting. Nothing even happened in Miami. Kyle turned out to be a jerk. I spent the whole trip thinking about you. I realized I made a mistake." She reached toward my arm, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said. "You didn't miss me," I continued. "You missed the lifestyle. You missed the apartment. You missed having someone who paid things and didn't question it." "That's not fair," she said, as tears formed in her eyes. Those tears had once worked on me, but now they seemed more like a predictable reaction. "I love you," she continued. "Can't we just start over? I'm staying at a Motel 6, Mark. I'm scared. Please let me come back. We can fix this." I looked at her carefully. At that moment, I realized something important. The anger I once felt was gone. The hurt had faded, too. What remained was simple indifference. She was no longer someone important in my life, just a person connected to a past chapter. "This isn't possible," I said calmly. "There isn't a place for you to return to." Her expression changed. "What do you mean?" "I moved out of the condo last week," I explained. "Your father is selling the unit. He didn't want the memories associated with it." "You left me with nothing," she said, shocked. "You erased everything." "You erased the relationship first," I replied. "When you called me useful and boring, that's when it ended. You just realized it later." Her sadness quickly turned to anger. "You're incredibly petty. You think you're better than me? You're boring, Mark. You're always boring. Kyle was right about you." I smiled slightly. "You're right," I said. "I am boring. I pay my bills. I stay loyal. I treat people with respect. I go to bed at a reasonable hour. To someone like you, that may seem boring, but to many adults, those are the qualities of a reliable partner." I opened my car door. "You can't just leave me here," she shouted. "I have nowhere to go." "You have many places you wanted to go," I replied as I got into the driver's seat. I started the engine, and her phone connected to the car's Bluetooth system, and a message notification appeared on the dashboard. It was from Elena, a pediatrician I had met at a friend's dinner 2 weeks earlier. Her message read, "Dinner is almost ready. Pick up some wine on your way." Chloe noticed the notification through the window. She saw the name. She saw the smiley face. She saw that life had moved forward. I didn't say anything else. I backed the car out of the parking space and drove toward the exit ramp. In the rearview mirror, I could see her standing alone in the middle of the parking lane, becoming smaller as the distance increased. I turned on the radio, merged onto the highway, and stopped to buy a bottle of Cabernet. Choosing option 3 turned out to be the best decision I made. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the like button if you enjoyed the story. What are your thoughts about this situation? Share your opinion in the comments.